Habits are the building blocks of everyday life. They shape how we act, decide, and respond without us even realizing it. Some habits help us grow and succeed, while others quietly hold us back. Understanding how habits work gives you the power to take control of your life, make better choices, and create lasting change. In this book, you will learn how to recognize the routines that influence your daily decisions, replace harmful behaviors with constructive ones, and build small actions that lead to bigger achievements. You will discover how self-awareness can reveal triggers that drive your actions, and how discipline can keep you moving forward even when life gets hard. You will see how your environment, your community, and the habits you focus on can either support or limit your growth. This guide is practical and actionable. Every chapter is designed to give you steps you can take immediately. You will learn how to track your progress, focus on the habits that have the greatest impact, and engage with others to create support that keeps you accountable. By the end, you will have a clear understanding of how to commit to lifelong improvement and continuously develop yourself, no matter the challenges you face. If you are ready to take control, create routines that work for you, and see real results in your life, this book will show you exactly how to do it. Stick with it, and by the end, you will know how to use the power of habits to transform your everyday actions into meaningful progress. Chapter 1: Recognize patterns that shape your daily decisions immediately. Every day is composed of countless decisions, many of which pass unnoticed, yet each one silently shapes the trajectory of your life. The choices you make when no one is watching are often the ones that determine your long-term success, happiness, and resilience. Recognizing the patterns that guide these daily decisions is not merely an exercise in awareness. It is the foundation of personal mastery. Understanding how habits work, what triggers them, and how they influence your behavior allows you to take control over your life rather than drift through it unconsciously. These patterns operate quietly, hidden beneath the surface of thought and action, but they are relentless. The first step toward meaningful transformation is to see them clearly and understand their power. Habits are the invisible architecture of your daily existence. Every action you repeat, whether brushing your teeth, checking your phone, or choosing what to eat, is part of a pattern that your brain has built to simplify life. The human mind is wired to seek efficiency. Performing tasks automatically frees mental energy for other pursuits. This efficiency is valuable, yet it carries a hidden cost when the habits formed are unexamined or destructive. Recognizing patterns requires a disciplined and honest examination of your routines. It is not enough to acknowledge that habits exist. You must scrutinize the rhythms of your daily life to see where you are giving away control and where you can reclaim it. The first approach to recognizing patterns is meticulous observation. Begin by taking note of every action that occurs repeatedly throughout your day. From the moment you wake to the moment you sleep, observe the flow of behaviors. Which actions are automatic? Which moments trigger stress, distraction, or indulgence? Which situations provoke productive or destructive responses? Awareness is your tool. You cannot change what you cannot see. For example, notice the times when you reach for your phone first thing in the morning. Ask yourself why this action occurs. Is it a genuine need for information or connection, or is it an automatic escape from stillness and thought? Awareness uncovers these hidden routines, revealing how much of your behavior is driven by subconscious patterns rather than conscious choice. Once awareness is established, the next step is reflection. Examine each pattern with precision. Consider the consequences of these repeated actions. Are they moving you toward the life you envision, or are they silently steering you away from it? This reflection requires a level of discipline and honesty that can be uncomfortable. Stoicism teaches that discomfort is a necessary teacher. Avoiding this examination leaves you vulnerable to habits that serve convenience but undermine long-term well-being. Take a notebook and record observations. Detail the triggers, actions, and outcomes of your daily behaviors. For instance, if you notice that late-night snacking occurs after stressful work hours, write it down. Examine the emotional cues and the environmental factors contributing to this behavior. Through reflection, patterns become visible as more than isolated actions. They emerge as interconnected loops that define the rhythm of your life. Recognizing patterns is not merely an intellectual exercise. It requires connecting observation to experience. Notice the emotions that accompany recurring actions. Habits are often reinforced by feelings. Satisfaction, relief, excitement, or avoidance creates a feedback loop. Understanding the emotional component of your routines empowers you to make deliberate changes. Consider an example: procrastination often follows an overwhelming task. The pattern might involve feeling anxious, distracting yourself with easier tasks, and experiencing temporary relief, which reinforces the behavior. By recognizing this emotional cycle, you gain the insight needed to intervene consciously. Each decision can then become an opportunity for intentional action rather than an automatic response. Real-world application of this awareness begins with small but precise experiments. Choose one recurring action that you wish to examine. Observe the circumstances and the trigger behind it. Document what occurs, how you feel, and the result. Then consciously alter the pattern, even slightly. If you find yourself reaching for your phone at the first sign of boredom, replace that action with a brief period of deep breathing or journaling. The goal is not to overhaul your life overnight, but to create a controlled space where conscious choice replaces automatic behavior. These micro-experiments provide valuable feedback. Over time, they reveal the broader patterns that define your life and create leverage for substantial change. Understanding the neurological underpinnings of habits strengthens this practice. Every habit operates as a loop consisting of a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue triggers the brain to initiate a specific action. The routine is the behavior itself. The reward provides feedback, often in the form of pleasure, relief, or satisfaction, which reinforces the cycle. Recognizing this structure allows you to dissect your habits with clarity. When you encounter a negative pattern, identify its cue and reward. Then experiment with altering the routine while maintaining the reward. This approach does not rely on sheer willpower alone. It is a systematic method to rewire behavior. Awareness, reflection, emotional connection, and experimentation form the pillars of mastery over daily patterns. The environment in which your habits unfold also plays a decisive role. Your surroundings influence behavior far more than you might realize. The layout of your home, the accessibility of distractions, the cues present in your workspace, all these factors subtly guide your decisions. Recognizing patterns includes acknowledging the environmental triggers that support or undermine your habits. A cluttered desk invites distraction. Notifications on your phone foster impulsive engagement. Over time, these seemingly minor influences compound, shaping your behavior in profound ways. By becoming aware of these environmental cues, you can redesign your surroundings to support intentional action. Small adjustments, like placing healthy snacks within easy reach or keeping your workspace minimal and organized, can produce dramatic improvements in behavior over time. Discipline is critical in translating recognition into change. Observation and reflection are powerful, yet they require consistent practice. Habits, by their nature, resist alteration. Your brain favors familiar pathways. Recognizing patterns is an act of discipline because it demands sustained attention to what would otherwise pass unnoticed. Set aside daily time for observation and reflection. Approach this practice as a commitment to yourself. Discipline does not mean harshness or self-punishment. It is the steadfast cultivation of self-knowledge and control. Like a gardener tending to plants, you observe, prune, and nurture patterns that support growth while removing those that impede it. Accountability amplifies this process. Sharing observations and intentions with a trusted person creates external reinforcement for internal work. Patterns are easier to alter when they are acknowledged openly rather than left to private speculation. This does not require exposure to judgment, but the creation of a support system that encourages reflection and conscious decision-making. A friend, mentor, or community invested in growth provides perspective and helps maintain consistency. Accountability transforms the recognition of patterns from passive insight into active engagement. It ensures that observation leads to action rather than idle awareness. Journaling is a particularly effective method for recognizing patterns. Writing captures nuance, emotion, and frequency of actions that are easily forgotten. Record not just what you do, but also the triggers, emotions, and outcomes associated with each habit. This creates a map of behavioral tendencies and highlights areas for improvement. Over time, patterns emerge with clarity. You can see connections between seemingly unrelated behaviors, identify recurring triggers, and anticipate moments of vulnerability. Journaling transforms abstract insight into tangible evidence, making recognition of patterns a concrete, actionable process. Time itself offers perspective. Patterns are best recognized over extended observation. A single day of attention provides hints, but a week or a month reveals cycles and tendencies. Daily routines interact with weekly rhythms, social obligations, and personal energy levels. Tracking your actions across time uncovers these larger patterns. For instance, you may notice that productive focus peaks at specific times of day, while distractions spike at others. Recognizing this temporal structure allows you to schedule critical tasks during optimal periods, aligning effort with natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. Self-compassion is an essential companion in this work. Recognizing patterns often exposes behaviors we wish to change but have neglected. Resistance, frustration, or disappointment can arise. These reactions are natural, yet they should not derail your progress. Approach each discovery with curiosity rather than condemnation. Stoic philosophy teaches that judgment clouds clarity. Observation must be free from excessive emotion or harshness. Accept the presence of patterns as information, not as evidence of failure. This mindset allows you to engage honestly and consistently without being paralyzed by guilt or regret. The culmination of this practice is empowerment. Recognition of patterns is transformative because it converts passive experience into conscious choice. Every identified habit, trigger, and cue represents an opportunity for intentional action. Awareness allows you to intervene, to make choices aligned with your values rather than dictated by unconscious routine. This is not an abstract or theoretical promise. The ability to observe, analyze, and modify behavior shapes every domain of life. Productivity increases, relationships improve, emotional resilience strengthens, and confidence grows. Recognition is the gateway to self-mastery. Practical application requires persistence. Begin each day with observation, noting actions, triggers, and responses. Reflect briefly on outcomes and emotional states. Experiment with one small alteration to a routine, observing how the change affects results. Adjust your environment to reduce negative triggers and enhance positive cues. Maintain a journal to track progress and insights. Engage a trusted friend or mentor to provide perspective and accountability. Over time, these practices compound. Small daily insights accumulate, producing visible transformation in habits and, ultimately, in life. Recognizing patterns also reveals deeper truths about yourself. Habits are reflections of priorities, fears, desires, and values. By observing repeated behaviors, you gain insight into what truly drives you. Are your actions aligned with your principles or dictated by convenience, distraction, or fear? Patterns illuminate the gap between who you are and who you wish to become. This awareness is a form of power. It provides a map to close that gap through deliberate, disciplined action. Self-mastery begins with understanding, and understanding begins with observation. The process is ongoing. Life evolves, circumstances change, and new habits emerge. Recognition of patterns is not a one-time achievement but a lifelong practice. Each stage of life brings new challenges and routines. By maintaining awareness, reflection, and experimentation, you ensure that growth continues and that your habits remain aligned with your evolving goals. Continuous attention to patterns is the guardrail against drifting into complacency, mediocrity, or self-sabotage. It is the daily practice of intentional living, grounded in observation and disciplined action. Recognition of patterns also nurtures resilience. By observing how habits form and persist, you develop the ability to anticipate challenges and respond adaptively. Unexpected stressors or disruptions no longer derail you because you understand the underlying loops that drive behavior. You can modify responses deliberately, maintaining stability and focus. This capacity for self-regulation strengthens confidence, reduces anxiety, and enhances performance across all areas of life. Awareness equips you not only to change, but to withstand the inevitable trials that accompany growth. The emotional dimension of patterns cannot be overlooked. Repeated behaviors are often deeply intertwined with feelings, and emotional intelligence amplifies the effectiveness of recognition. Notice the subtle cues in mood, thought patterns, and bodily sensations that precede habitual action. Understanding these signals allows you to intervene before behavior becomes automatic. Emotional awareness complements cognitive observation, creating a holistic understanding of your habits. This integration of mind and feeling provides clarity, precision, and depth in transforming behavior. Every choice you make matters. Each decision builds upon the previous, creating momentum toward improvement or decline. By recognizing patterns, you seize the opportunity to direct this momentum consciously. Patterns that once operated in the background become tools in your hands. Awareness, reflection, discipline, environmental design, journaling, accountability, and emotional intelligence converge to produce mastery over your daily life. The act of recognition is transformative because it restores agency. No longer are you merely reacting to circumstance. You are actively shaping your existence with intention and purpose. In practice, begin with a single focus. Identify one area of your daily routine where change is possible and meaningful. Observe, reflect, experiment, and document. Adjust your environment, apply discipline, and seek accountability. Over weeks and months, expand to other areas. Progress is cumulative. Each insight builds upon the last, producing compounding improvement in both habits and character. The process is patient but relentless. By committing to it, you create a life structured by conscious choice rather than passive repetition. Recognition of patterns becomes the foundation of mastery, resilience, and meaningful growth. Understanding the power of patterns also empowers decision-making in real time. With observation and awareness, you can respond strategically to challenges rather than react impulsively. Every habit carries an opportunity for improvement, and every moment presents a chance to choose deliberately. Life becomes a series of intentional actions informed by insight rather than default responses. Mastery of patterns is mastery of self. It is the principle upon which all other growth, discipline, and achievement rest. Recognition of patterns is not a technique or tactic. It is the lens through which the entire life can be viewed and improved. The practice of recognition cultivates freedom. By seeing clearly the forces that shape behavior, you reclaim authority over your actions. Habits that once felt automatic are no longer uncontrollable. Triggers become signals rather than commands. Routine actions transform into deliberate choices. This freedom is not immediate or effortless, but emerges gradually through consistent attention, reflection, and disciplined experimentation. Each act of recognition strengthens the capacity to live intentionally, to align behavior with values, and to pursue meaningful goals without distraction or resistance. Recognition of patterns is transformative because it is actionable. Awareness alone is not sufficient unless it leads to change. The final step in this process is consistent application. For every pattern identified, take a concrete step to reinforce positive behaviors or alter negative ones. Small, consistent interventions accumulate, producing profound long-term effects. Your life is shaped not by grand gestures, but by repeated daily actions guided by conscious awareness. Recognition is the first step, action is the second, and mastery is the inevitable result of their combination. Through this lens, the daily routines that once seemed mundane or insignificant become instruments of transformation. Every habit, choice, and repeated action is an opportunity to build resilience, focus, and character. By committing to the disciplined recognition of patterns, you gain the ability to direct your life with precision. You cultivate self-knowledge, emotional intelligence, and practical wisdom simultaneously. Recognition of patterns is both a mirror and a map. It reflects your present reality and guides you toward the person you intend to become. Through patient observation, reflection, and intentional action, mastery is not only possible, it becomes inevitable. The journey begins now. Observation, honesty, discipline, emotional insight, journaling, accountability, Environmental design and experimentation converge to form the foundation of meaningful growth. Recognizing patterns shapes every decision, every moment, and ultimately every outcome. The clarity gained empowers action, the action reinforces awareness, and the cycle produces continuous improvement. Habits are not destiny, they are opportunities. Recognizing patterns immediately transforms them from hidden forces into tools of self-mastery. Each day becomes a conscious step toward resilience, success, and the disciplined life you seek. By understanding and applying these principles, life shifts from reactive chaos to deliberate mastery. Recognition of patterns is the first decisive act of self-discipline, the cornerstone of personal growth, and the pathway to freedom and fulfillment. The daily choices that once passed unnoticed become instruments of deliberate action. Through consistent practice, insight deepens, decisions become deliberate, and life aligns progressively with your highest aspirations. Recognition of patterns is the gateway to self-mastery, the foundation of resilience, and the starting point for every meaningful transformation in life. Chapter 2. Replace harmful routines with constructive behaviors for lasting change. Every habit carries power, and not all habits serve your growth. Some routines support your goals, strengthen your resilience, and cultivate discipline, while others quietly drain your energy, distract you, and diminish your potential. Recognizing harmful patterns is only half the work. Transformation begins when you actively replace destructive routines with constructive behaviors that create lasting change. This is the decisive moment where awareness meets action. You cannot simply wish for better habits, you must design them, nurture them, and embed them into your daily life with intentionality. Lasting change requires not a single effort, but consistent, thoughtful practice rooted in insight and discipline. The first step in replacing harmful routines is to identify them with precision. These routines may appear small or inconsequential, but their cumulative effect is profound. Look for behaviors that consistently undermine your productivity, energy, or emotional state. Perhaps it is checking social media the moment you wake, procrastinating on critical tasks, or reaching for food when stressed. Each routine provides temporary satisfaction yet compromises long-term goals. Reflect on the immediate consequences and the ripple effects over time. Clarity about what needs to change creates a firm foundation for the work ahead. Without a clear target, effort becomes scattered and progress remains slow. Once harmful routines are identified, examine the triggers behind them. Every routine is prompted by a cue, a time, emotion, situation, or environment. Recognizing triggers transforms abstract habits into actionable insight. Ask yourself when and why these behaviors occur. Are they responses to stress, boredom, or fatigue? Do certain environments or people influence these actions? Understanding triggers allows you to intercept behaviors before they occur. By noticing the circumstances that provoke destructive habits, you gain the power to redirect your actions toward constructive alternatives. This approach is not dependent on willpower alone. It is strategic, systematic, and rooted in conscious awareness. Replacing routines requires designing alternative behaviors that satisfy the same underlying need. Most destructive habits serve a purpose, whether providing comfort, stimulation, or relief. Instead of attempting to eliminate the habit entirely, replace it with a constructive behavior that meets the same need without negative consequences. If stress triggers snacking, try a short walk, deep breathing, or focused journaling. If procrastination emerges in response to an overwhelming task, break the task into manageable steps and take immediate action on the first small portion. Substituting positive routines ensures that your brain receives the reward it seeks while shifting behavior toward your goals. Change is most sustainable when it meets needs rather than denying them. Consistency is critical in forming constructive behaviors. Habits are reinforced through repetition, and the more frequently a new routine is performed, the stronger its neural pathway becomes. Begin with small, manageable steps that can be repeated daily. Avoid attempting drastic overhauls that lead to resistance or burnout. Gradual, consistent change is far more durable than sudden, radical transformation. Each successful repetition builds confidence and strengthens the habit loop. Over time, The constructive behavior becomes automatic, reducing reliance on effortful self-control. Consistency compounds quietly but powerfully, turning initial effort into lasting transformation. Designing your environment to support new routines accelerates success. The context in which habits occur either reinforces or undermines them. Remove cues for harmful routines and create spaces that encourage constructive behavior. If late-night snacking is an issue, do not keep tempting foods in easy reach. If distractions disrupt focus, organize your workspace to minimize interruptions. Surround yourself with reminders of the behaviors you want to strengthen. Environmental design reduces the friction for positive habits and increases the friction for destructive ones. By shaping your surroundings deliberately, you remove obstacles and make change more natural and achievable. Tracking progress provides accountability and motivation. Documenting your daily actions highlights both successes and areas needing attention. Recording the replacement of harmful routines with constructive behaviors allows you to see tangible evidence of improvement. Simple tools, such as habit trackers, journals, or checklists, reinforce awareness and commitment. Progress fuels momentum. When small victories accumulate, they become proof of capability, reinforcing self-confidence and strengthening resolve. By measuring change, you transform abstract goals into concrete achievements that inspire ongoing effort. Understanding the emotional component of routines enhances the replacement process. Habits are often linked to emotional needs, whether comfort, distraction, or pleasure. Constructive behaviors succeed when they address these emotional drivers effectively. Awareness of emotional triggers allows you to anticipate challenges and respond intentionally rather than reactively. A new habit must be satisfying in some way, whether by providing relief, accomplishment, or clarity. Aligning behavior with emotional needs ensures that change is sustainable and resilient against lapses. Emotionally intelligent intervention transforms habit replacement from temporary modification into enduring improvement. Accountability is a powerful tool for sustaining new routines. Sharing intentions with a mentor, friend, or community strengthens commitment and encourages persistence. Accountability creates external reinforcement that complements internal motivation. When you report progress or face shared expectations, you are more likely to maintain consistency. A network of support also provides perspective, guidance, and encouragement when challenges arise. Replacement of harmful routines is not solely an internal struggle. Social reinforcement enhances resilience and magnifies the likelihood of long-term success. Experimentation fosters adaptability in habit transformation. Not every new routine will succeed on the first attempt. Approach replacement as a series of trials where observation guides adjustment. Monitor the effectiveness of each intervention, noting what works, what fails, and how context influences outcomes. Flexibility prevents frustration and allows strategies to evolve with circumstances. Incremental adjustments improve the effectiveness of routines over time, creating personalized solutions that integrate seamlessly into daily life. Change is not static, it is dynamic, responsive, and rooted in observation and refinement. Patience underlies every successful replacement of harmful routines. Transformation does not occur instantly. Neural pathways require repetition, consistency, and reinforcement. Progress may feel slow at times, but each intentional action strengthens the foundation for long-term change. Stoic wisdom reminds that persistence, not immediate gratification, produces enduring results. By committing to the process without obsession over speed, you cultivate resilience, discipline, and self-mastery. The cumulative effect of sustained effort far exceeds any short-term surge of motivation or willpower. The impact of replacing harmful routines extends beyond immediate behavior. New habits shape identity. Each deliberate choice reinforces the self you wish to embody. By consistently engaging in constructive behaviors, you begin to see yourself as disciplined, capable, and intentional. Identity and behavior reinforce each other, creating a virtuous cycle of improvement. Harmful routines lose influence because they conflict with the emerging self concept. Transformation becomes embedded not just in action but in character, sustaining change over a lifetime. Visualization enhances the replacement process. Mentally rehearsing new behaviors, anticipating triggers, and imagining successful execution strengthens commitment. Visualization primes the brain for action, reduces anxiety, and increases confidence. By repeatedly picturing constructive responses in challenging situations, you prepare yourself for real-world application. Mental rehearsal bridges the gap between intention and execution, making desired behaviors feel familiar and achievable. Visualization transforms planning into readiness and potential into action. Reinforcement solidifies new routines. Positive reinforcement strengthens motivation and habit formation. Celebrate small victories, acknowledge progress, and reward consistent effort. Reinforcement need not be extravagant. Recognition, reflection, or small tangible acknowledgements of success can suffice. Positive reinforcement increases satisfaction, embeds the habit loop, and encourages persistence. When constructive behaviors are consistently rewarded, they compete successfully against the pull of harmful routines, ensuring that new habits gain traction and longevity. Resilience supports habit replacement in moments of setback. Lapses are inevitable. Progress is not linear. When a harmful routine resurfaces, view it as information rather than failure. Analyze the circumstances, adjust strategies, and re-engage with constructive behavior. Resilience allows you to maintain momentum despite temporary obstacles. Each recovery reinforces determination and strengthens the emerging habit. Over time, the capacity to recover from lapses reduces their impact, making transformation more durable and sustainable. Reflection deepens understanding of habit replacement. Periodically reviewing progress, setbacks, and patterns provides insight into the forces shaping behavior. Reflect on what triggers successful execution, where resistance occurs, and how context influences outcomes. Reflection strengthens awareness, reinforces learning, and informs strategy adjustments. It turns experience into insight, ensuring that progress is intentional rather than accidental. Through consistent reflection, replacement of harmful routines becomes a process of deliberate evolution rather than trial and error. The ultimate goal of replacing harmful routines is not temporary improvement, but enduring transformation. Every constructive behavior strengthens self-discipline, clarity, and intentionality. Each replacement builds momentum toward a life aligned with purpose, values, and goals. Harmful routines lose their grip as consistent, deliberate action reshapes behavior, environment, and identity. Over time, the accumulation of small, intentional changes produces profound shifts in capability, confidence, and personal fulfillment. Transformation becomes embedded, resilient, and self-sustaining. The power of this practice lies in its simplicity and universality. Every destructive routine has a corresponding constructive alternative. Every trigger presents an opportunity for deliberate choice. Every repetition strengthens a positive neural pathway. Every reflection enhances insight. By engaging with these principles, you convert fleeting motivation into structured progress, temporary desire into permanent transformation. The replacement of harmful routines is not just a tactic. It is a disciplined approach to life that transforms daily behavior, strengthens character, and produces lasting results. By actively replacing harmful routines with constructive behaviors, you reclaim control over your daily life. Awareness, analysis, strategic substitution, consistency, environmental design, tracking, emotional intelligence, accountability, experimentation, patience, visualization, reinforcement, resilience, and reflection converge to produce lasting transformation. Every deliberate action builds momentum, reshapes identity, and strengthens capacity. Harmful routines become irrelevant as positive behaviors dominate experience. Through consistent application, constructive routines embed deeply, creating a life guided by choice, discipline, and purpose. The journey is continuous, incremental, and transformative, but every step moves you closer to mastery over your behavior, your environment, and ultimately yourself. Chapter 30: Build consistent small habits to achieve greater personal goals. Small actions create the foundation for major achievements, and consistency is the bridge between ambition and reality. Most people aim for dramatic transformations, imagining sweeping changes will redefine their lives overnight. The truth is that real progress emerges from tiny, deliberate actions repeated over time. Each small habit compounds quietly, gradually reshaping routines, mindset, and capability. Building these habits does not require extraordinary talent or immense willpower. It demands focus, patience, and a structured approach to daily life. By committing to manageable behaviors consistently, you set the stage for meaningful, lasting success. Begin by defining your objectives with clarity. Every personal goal, whether related to health, productivity, learning, or relationships, is achieved through a series of concrete actions. Identify the behaviors that contribute directly to your goals. Avoid overwhelming yourself with large, complex tasks that are difficult to sustain. Instead, focus on small, precise actions that fit naturally into your daily life. Breaking goals into incremental steps allows the brain to absorb new routines more effectively and reduces resistance to change. Each small habit should feel achievable, providing momentum without creating discouragement. Consistency depends on integration rather than occasional effort. Habits thrive when they are embedded into daily routines rather than treated as optional or extraordinary. Decide when, where, and how you will perform each habit, and make it non-negotiable. Linking new actions to existing routines enhances adherence. For example, if your goal is to increase reading, commit to reading a few pages after brushing your teeth each morning. Associating new behaviors with established patterns creates stability and reduces reliance on motivation alone. Habitual consistency is the engine that drives continuous progress. Tracking habits strengthens commitment. A simple record of completion reinforces accountability and allows reflection on progress. Observing streaks and patterns builds confidence and provides tangible proof that effort accumulates. This tracking can be as basic as marking a calendar, using a habit tracking app, or maintaining a small journal. The visibility of progress reinforces the value of consistency, making it easier to sustain behaviors over weeks and months. Each recorded action becomes evidence that incremental effort produces results, further solidifying the habit. Focus on identity-based habits rather than outcomes alone. Small actions are most sustainable when they reflect the person you wish to become. Instead of aiming to lose 10 pounds, commit to being someone who moves daily. Rather than targeting write a book, adopt being someone who writes for 15 minutes each day. This shift aligns daily behaviors with long-term self-concept, reinforcing consistency naturally. Habits anchored in identity are less susceptible to external fluctuations of motivation and more likely to persist through challenges or setbacks. Environment supports consistency in small habits. Design spaces that make desired actions easier and reduce friction for execution. If exercise is a goal, place workout clothes where they are immediately accessible. If hydration is important, keep water bottles within reach. Minimize exposure to distractions or temptations that interfere with habit formation. Environment and habit are intertwined. Deliberate adjustments increase the likelihood of adherence while reducing the cognitive effort required to maintain behaviors. Start with habits so small that they are almost impossible to fail. The brain responds to repeated success, not only occasional effort. A 5-minute meditation or 1 page of reading may seem minor, but these micro-actions establish a sense of accomplishment and activate neural pathways for growth. Consistency at this scale creates momentum that allows expansion. Once the initial behavior becomes automatic, intensity, duration, or complexity can be increased gradually without breaking the pattern. Small, reliable victories compound into profound transformation. Habits are reinforced through immediate feedback. Each repetition should provide a subtle reward, whether a sense of completion, improved focus, or positive emotion. The reward strengthens neural pathways associated with the habit, making repetition more natural. Tracking visible progress, acknowledging small wins, or taking a brief moment of reflection after completing an action reinforces the cycle. Rewards do not need to be elaborate. They should be meaningful enough to associate pleasure with the consistent behavior, encouraging the brain to repeat it willingly. Anticipate obstacles and plan responses in advance. Life presents interruptions, stress, and fatigue that challenge routine habits. By identifying potential barriers beforehand, you prepare strategies to maintain consistency. If a scheduled time for writing is disrupted, designate a backup time rather than abandoning the habit. If energy is low, perform a minimal version of the action to maintain momentum. The focus is not perfection but unbroken engagement with the habit. Adaptation preserves continuity, which is essential for building long-term habits. Cues drive habit execution. Incorporate triggers that signal the start of a desired behavior. Visual reminders, alarms, or pairing a habit with a recurring event strengthens the loop between intention and action. Cues reduce reliance on memory and self-discipline alone. For example, placing a notebook next to your bed serves as a prompt to write in the morning, or keeping a water bottle on your desk cues frequent hydration. Consistent cues combined with small actions form the structural backbone of reliable habits. Patience is vital. Growth from small, consistent habits is incremental and often invisible in the short term. Progress is slow but accumulates steadily. Daily repetition may feel unremarkable, yet over weeks, months, and years, minor actions compound into significant results. This principle requires trust in the process and commitment to persistence. Avoid evaluating success prematurely. Consistency and accumulation create change that surpasses sporadic bursts of effort. Reflection strengthens the effectiveness of habits. Regularly review which small actions are producing meaningful results and which may need adjustment. Analyze the impact of each habit on your broader goals and overall well-being. Reflection allows you to prune ineffective behaviors, reinforce successful routines, and deepen understanding of how daily choices drive progress. This practice transforms repetition from rote action into strategic, intentional growth. The interconnection of habits amplifies impact. Keystone habits, or foundational routines, produce positive ripple effects in multiple areas of life. For instance, daily exercise often improves energy, focus, sleep, and mental clarity, influencing other productive behaviors. Identify small actions that produce outsized influence and prioritize them. By building consistency around habits with ripple effects, you leverage effort efficiently, accelerating progress toward multiple personal goals simultaneously. Resilience supports consistency. Even well-structured habits encounter disruptions. Illness, travel, stress, or unexpected events challenge routine behaviors. Cultivating resilience allows the habit to endure without collapse. Emphasize recovery rather than punishment after lapses. Missing a single instance does not negate progress. Resuming the habit promptly preserves momentum. Resilient consistency ensures that small habits continue to accumulate impact despite temporary setbacks, maintaining forward trajectory toward personal objectives. Accountability strengthens adherence. Sharing habits' progress or intentions with a peer, mentor, or group reinforces commitment. External support complements internal motivation by introducing structure and oversight. Even minimal external accountability increases the likelihood of sustained consistency, providing reinforcement when personal resolve wavers. Collective engagement also offers encouragement, feedback, and perspective, making habit building more manageable and sustainable over time. The ultimate purpose of consistent small habits is cumulative progress. Each repeated action compounds into broader development, shaping routines, mindset, and capability. Over time, minor behaviors produce substantial change in health, productivity, learning, and personal growth. The key lies in repetition, deliberate execution, and integration into daily life. Small habits do not merely support goals, they become the architecture of achievement itself. Through steady commitment, consistency transforms intention into reality. Consistency fosters mastery. Skills, knowledge, and performance improve when small actions are repeated intentionally. Writing daily enhances clarity of thought. Exercise strengthens physical and mental resilience, and consistent reflection builds emotional intelligence. Mastery emerges not from occasional brilliance, but from persistent, measured practice. The accumulation of small, deliberate actions produces competence, confidence, and long-term growth. Each habit, repeated day after day, contributes to a higher level of personal effectiveness and fulfillment. Small habits anchor focus and discipline. By committing to minor actions daily, attention is trained, decisions are simplified, and self-control is strengthened. Discipline becomes a natural consequence of structured repetition rather than a struggle of willpower. Each habitual action reinforces mental clarity and fortitude, creating a framework that supports broader personal goals. Consistent habits reduce the cognitive load of decision-making and provide stability in a world of constant distraction. In practice, begin by selecting 1 or 2 small habits that are both meaningful and achievable. Define clear triggers, schedule repetition, track completion, and reward progress. Design your environment to facilitate execution and anticipate potential barriers. Reflect regularly, adjust strategies as needed, and engage accountability partners when possible. Prioritize habits that produce ripple effects across multiple domains. Maintain patience, resilience, and trust in the compounding power of daily action. Over time, these small habits become automatic, embedding consistency into your life and paving the way for greater achievements. Through these principles, small, consistent habits transform ambition into tangible outcomes. Each micro-action accumulates into progress, each repetition strengthens capability, and each day of disciplined practice draws personal goals closer to reality. Consistency is the silent engine of success. By embracing small habits as a daily practice, you cultivate momentum, resilience, and mastery. Incremental effort, repeated reliably, is the path to extraordinary achievement, proving that even the smallest actions, when aligned with purpose, can create profound life transformation. Chapter 4: Harness self-awareness to identify triggers that drive your actions. Every action you take has a preceding cause, and those causes often operate beneath conscious awareness. Understanding what drives your behavior begins with self-awareness. Many people live on autopilot, reacting to external events, emotions, or impulses without ever pausing to examine why they act as they do. This lack of awareness allows habits, reactions, and patterns to dominate life, often in ways that conflict with long-term goals and values. Harnessing self-awareness provides clarity. It illuminates the hidden triggers that prompt specific behaviors, allowing you to intervene deliberately instead of being swept along by unconscious impulses. The moment you recognize the source of your actions, you reclaim control over your decisions and your life. Start by observing your responses throughout the day. Pay attention to situations that elicit strong emotional reactions, automatic behaviors, or repeated decisions. Note when you feel compelled to act, when procrastination occurs, or when impulses arise. These moments are fertile ground for understanding triggers. They reveal the intersection between environment, emotion, and habit. Recording these observations in a journal sharpens awareness and provides evidence of recurring influences. Over time, patterns emerge. You begin to see not just isolated behaviors but the consistent signals that precede them. Emotions often act as a bridge between external stimuli and habitual responses. Stress, frustration, excitement, or boredom can provoke automatic actions. Recognizing the emotional cues that drive behavior is central to self-awareness. When you feel tension before reaching for food, scrolling through social media, or avoiding work, you are experiencing a trigger. Emotional literacy, the ability to name and understand feelings, enhances your capacity to identify these triggers accurately. Naming the emotion is a simple but powerful act. It transforms a nebulous impulse into a tangible signal that can be addressed consciously. Your environment contributes significantly to triggers. Certain places, people, or objects can prompt behaviors automatically. A cluttered desk might lead to distraction. A particular group of friends might encourage unhealthy routines, or certain smells or sounds may spark habitual responses. Recognizing environmental triggers requires attentiveness to context. Mapping the settings in which behaviors occur helps isolate external influences. Once identified, these triggers can be modified, removed, or leveraged to support positive actions. Control over your surroundings is a direct path to greater behavioral autonomy. Internal triggers, such as thoughts or memories, also drive behavior. Often unnoticed, these mental cues generate impulses that prompt action. A fleeting worry can trigger procrastination, while self-doubt may provoke avoidance. By paying close attention to thought patterns preceding behaviors, you uncover mental triggers. Practices like mindfulness or meditation train the mind to notice these cues without judgment, creating space to choose deliberate responses. Awareness of internal triggers reduces reactive tendencies and strengthens self-regulation. Recognizing triggers is strengthened by consistency and repetition. Make observation habitual. Begin each day by noting moments of automatic response and identifying potential triggers. Over weeks, recurring patterns become clear. Habits, impulses, and reactions often follow predictable sequences. Documenting these sequences reveals cause and effect relationships that might otherwise remain hidden. Consistency in self-observation is key because sporadic attention provides an incomplete picture. Repeated practice uncovers the nuanced and layered triggers that drive complex behaviors. Once triggers are identified, analyze their purpose. Every habitual behavior serves a function, whether offering relief, stimulation, distraction, or connection. Understanding the reward or satisfaction behind a behavior is critical. When you know what a habit achieves, you can devise alternatives that fulfill the same need constructively. This knowledge transforms self-awareness into actionable insight. You gain the ability to design responses that satisfy underlying desires while steering behavior toward positive outcomes. The combination of trigger recognition and functional understanding empowers intentional change. Accountability strengthens the practice of self-awareness. Sharing observations with a mentor, coach, or trusted friend encourages honesty and precision. External perspective often highlights blind spots, revealing triggers that might otherwise go unnoticed. Discussing behavior with someone invested in growth ensures consistency and reinforces commitment to self-observation. Accountability transforms introspection from a solitary exercise into an engaged, disciplined process, increasing the likelihood of lasting insight. Habits and routines often obscure the presence of triggers. Repetition can make patterns feel automatic and inevitable, masking the cues that initiate them. To counter this, temporarily disrupt routines and observe the resulting behavior. Change the time, location, or sequence of habitual actions. This interruption exposes the cues that would otherwise remain invisible. By strategically altering the context, triggers become evident, allowing deliberate intervention. The insight gained from disruption provides leverage for reshaping behavior in meaningful ways. Self-awareness also requires honesty and non-judgmental observation. Triggers can be uncomfortable to acknowledge because they expose weaknesses, fears, or desires. Facing these truths without defensiveness is essential. Observation should be neutral, focusing on clarity rather than self-criticism. Recognizing the cues behind behavior is not a moral judgment, but an opportunity for mastery. The capacity to observe honestly without attachment or avoidance strengthens control over actions and encourages disciplined reflection. Patterns of thought and emotion interact with environmental and social triggers to create complex behavioral loops. Recognizing these loops is central to self-awareness. Each action is rarely the result of a single cause. Instead, multiple triggers converge, amplifying the likelihood of habitual behavior. By mapping the sequence of triggers, from internal thought to external cue to emotional response, you create a comprehensive understanding of behavior. This systemic view allows targeted interventions that address root causes rather than surface symptoms, producing sustainable change. Mindfulness practices reinforce the ability to detect triggers in real time. Focusing attention on the present moment reveals subtle shifts in thought, feeling, and sensation. These shifts often precede habitual behavior, providing a window to choose intentional action. Mindfulness increases sensitivity to cues, strengthens awareness of patterns, and cultivates self-regulation. Regular practice enhances the capacity to intercept automatic responses, allowing conscious selection of constructive behaviors over destructive ones. Awareness becomes not only observational but operative. Observation alone is insufficient without practical application. Once triggers are identified, deliberate strategies must be employed to respond effectively. This can include substituting alternative behaviors, adjusting the environment, or employing mental strategies such as visualization or reframing. Each intervention is guided by the understanding gained through self-awareness. The conscious response to triggers shifts the locus of control from reactive patterns to deliberate action. The ability to recognize and respond to triggers transforms self-awareness into a dynamic tool for personal growth. Tracking triggers provides measurable insight. Maintain a log of situations, emotional states, and resulting behaviors. Over time, analysis of this data reveals recurring patterns that might not be immediately apparent. Quantifying observations allows precise identification of problematic triggers and evaluation of the effectiveness of interventions. Tracking creates accountability, reinforces learning, and builds a cumulative understanding that strengthens self-mastery. Documentation converts abstract awareness into tangible evidence for ongoing improvement. Developing the skill of early detection enhances resilience. Recognizing triggers before they provoke automatic behavior allows proactive rather than reactive engagement. Anticipating habitual responses reduces susceptibility to stress, distraction, or temptation. The early identification of triggers transforms potential moments of weakness into opportunities for deliberate action. This foresight strengthens discipline, improves decision-making, and builds confidence in the ability to navigate challenging situations without succumbing to destructive patterns. Self-awareness also fosters emotional intelligence. Understanding triggers deepens insight into personal emotional responses and those of others. Recognizing what prompts reactions enhances empathy, communication, and social effectiveness. Habits of emotional observation create a feedback loop that informs behavior modification, decision-making, and interpersonal interactions. By connecting internal awareness to external behavior, you cultivate a holistic form of intelligence that guides actions with clarity and purpose. Integration of trigger recognition into daily life ensures sustained impact. Observe, reflect, and respond to cues throughout the day, rather than reserving attention for isolated moments. Each decision and reaction becomes an opportunity to refine awareness and adjust behavior. This continuous engagement embeds self-awareness as a default operating principle rather than a periodic exercise. Over time, heightened awareness of triggers becomes intuitive, influencing choices in subtle but powerful ways. Harnessing self-awareness transforms reactive life into deliberate action. By identifying triggers, understanding their purpose, and implementing targeted responses, behavior shifts from automatic to intentional. Awareness allows choice, disrupts destructive cycles, and strengthens the foundation for lasting personal growth. Each moment of recognition reinforces control, guiding decisions in alignment with long-term goals and values. Through consistent practice, self-awareness empowers mastery over impulses, environment, and internal states, providing the tools necessary for sustained transformation and meaningful achievement. The practice of identifying triggers deepens over time. The more you observe, analyze, and reflect, the more refined your understanding becomes. Complex patterns emerge, subtle influences are detected, and decision-making becomes increasingly conscious. This iterative process strengthens clarity, resilience, and strategic action. Over time, triggers that once controlled behavior lose their grip, replaced by intentional responses shaped by insight and discipline. Mastery is achieved through persistent attention to the forces that drive action and consistent application of deliberate interventions. Every action carries a cue, an emotional signal, or a mental prompt. By cultivating self-awareness, these drivers are no longer hidden forces but visible elements that can be managed intentionally. Recognition transforms behavior from reaction to strategy, from habit to choice. Awareness enables construction of a life guided by conscious decisions, structured routines, and deliberate effort. Harnessing self-awareness equips the mind with the ability to navigate impulses, environmental pressures, and emotional stimuli with clarity, resilience, and purpose, forming the foundation for consistent personal growth and long-term achievement. Chapter 5: Strengthen discipline to maintain progress even during challenging times. Discipline is the cornerstone of lasting achievement and the force that sustains progress when circumstances are difficult. Many people start strong, full of energy and motivation, only to falter when obstacles appear. Motivation alone is fleeting and unreliable. Discipline is what bridges intention and execution, allowing action even when enthusiasm fades. Strengthening discipline is not about harsh self-punishment or extreme routines. It is about cultivating consistent habits, mental resilience, and the ability to act with purpose regardless of external pressures. The practice of discipline transforms inconsistent effort into sustained progress, making goals attainable even under stress, fatigue, or adversity. The foundation of discipline begins with clarity of purpose. When your goals and values are well defined, every action has meaning, and discipline becomes a natural extension of commitment. Vague intentions create indecision, whereas clear objectives provide direction. Define what success looks like in concrete terms and break it into actionable steps. When challenges arise, your commitment to purpose serves as an anchor, keeping action steady even when circumstances are unfavorable. Clarity transforms discipline from an abstract virtue into practical, daily application. Consistency is essential for developing discipline. Small, deliberate actions repeated over time strengthen self-control and build momentum. Daily engagement with even minor tasks reinforces the ability to follow through on commitments. Consistent practice does not rely on willpower alone, but on structuring routines and systems that support sustained effort. Over time, repetition reinforces neural pathways associated with self-regulation, making disciplined behavior increasingly automatic. The compounding effect of consistent action creates a robust framework for progress, resilient to temporary disruptions or setbacks. Anticipating obstacles enhances resilience and discipline. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. Planning ahead for interruptions, stress, or fatigue prepares the mind to respond effectively rather than react impulsively. Identify potential barriers and develop strategies to maintain action despite them. These strategies may include adjusting routines, breaking tasks into smaller segments, or using mental cues to reinforce focus. Anticipation transforms discipline from reactive determination into proactive strength, ensuring progress continues even under pressure. Self-regulation is reinforced by immediate feedback and measurable outcomes. Tracking progress, even in small increments, provides accountability and insight. Recording achievements, noting challenges, and reflecting on performance strengthens focus and encourages adherence to goals. Tangible evidence of progress fuels determination, reduces mental resistance, and reinforces the habit of disciplined action. Feedback transforms abstract effort into measurable growth, motivating persistence even when results are not immediately visible. Mental resilience is a critical component of discipline. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are inevitable, yet discipline allows you to continue despite difficulty. Cultivate a mindset that views obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than threats to progress. Each instance of persistence in adversity strengthens confidence and reinforces the capacity to act consistently. Resilience prevents temporary setbacks from derailing long-term progress, transforming hardship into a training ground for sustained self-mastery. Structuring routines strengthens discipline by reducing reliance on decision-making. When key actions are embedded in daily schedules, they require less conscious effort, conserving mental energy for sustained engagement. Design routines around essential tasks, ensuring they are performed consistently without constant deliberation. Habitual structure minimizes resistance and reinforces disciplined action as a default mode rather than a constant struggle against distraction or fatigue. The alignment of environment, routine, and intention reduces friction and increases the likelihood of sustained effort. Deliberate goal setting reinforces discipline. Break larger objectives into smaller, actionable targets and establish deadlines for each. Achievable goals create momentum and reinforce the habit of follow-through. Incremental progress demonstrates the power of disciplined effort, enhancing motivation and confidence. By systematically pursuing objectives, discipline becomes a tool for structured growth rather than a vague moral principle. Focused goal setting transforms effort into measurable results, reinforcing the link between disciplined behavior and meaningful achievement. Self-awareness strengthens discipline by identifying triggers of distraction or avoidance. Understanding what leads to procrastination, impulsive decisions, or emotional reactions allows targeted interventions. Anticipate situations that challenge focus and prepare strategies to maintain composure. Awareness creates a buffer between stimulus and response, enabling deliberate action rather than reactive behavior. This insight ensures that discipline is applied where it is most needed, maintaining consistent progress even when external pressures or internal impulses threaten to disrupt focus. Visualization and mental rehearsal enhance the ability to maintain discipline under pressure. Mentally simulating challenging scenarios and rehearsing productive responses strengthens preparedness and confidence. Anticipating difficulties allows the mind to remain calm and focused, reducing the influence of stress or temptation. Visualization bridges the gap between intention and action, training the brain to act decisively when tested. Preparedness through mental rehearsal reinforces the capacity for disciplined behavior in real-world conditions. Positive reinforcement solidifies disciplined behavior. Recognize and reward consistent effort, acknowledging progress and celebrating achievements. Reinforcement need not be extravagant. Meaningful acknowledgement of success strengthens commitment and encourages continuation. Rewarding discipline links effort with satisfaction, making adherence more appealing and sustainable. Consistent reinforcement strengthens neural associations between action and positive outcomes, embedding discipline deeply within daily practice. Accountability enhances persistence in challenging times. Sharing intentions and progress with a trusted mentor, peer, or community creates external motivation and oversight. Social reinforcement complements internal discipline, providing encouragement and guidance when personal resolve is tested. The presence of accountability increases the likelihood of maintaining action, even when intrinsic motivation fluctuates. External support strengthens commitment and reinforces disciplined behavior as a continuous practice rather than an occasional effort. Emotional regulation is central to maintaining discipline. Strong emotions can disrupt focus, prompt impulsive decisions, or derail progress. Recognizing emotional states, pausing to assess reactions, and employing calming strategies strengthens the ability to act consistently. Practices such as deep breathing, reflection, or brief mindfulness exercises stabilize the mind and reinforce control over actions. Emotional resilience ensures that discipline persists regardless of internal turbulence, allowing steady progress toward goals. Adaptability supports sustained discipline. Life presents changing circumstances, unexpected challenges, and shifting priorities. Discipline is strengthened when it can flexibly respond to new conditions without abandoning core objectives. Adjust routines, modify approaches, and recalibrate effort as necessary while maintaining commitment to progress. Flexibility ensures that disciplined behavior remains effective and sustainable even in dynamic or stressful environments. Rigid adherence without adjustment can undermine persistence, while adaptable strategies reinforce long-term success. Patience is a key element of disciplined growth. Progress is often gradual, and results may not be immediately visible. Sustained action over weeks, months, and years compounds into significant achievement. Trusting the process and maintaining effort without immediate reward develops mental fortitude and ensures that discipline is applied consistently. Patience transforms small, steady actions into substantial outcomes, reinforcing the value of long-term commitment over short-term gratification. Reflection strengthens the capacity for discipline, periodically reviewing performance, identifying challenges, and analyzing strategies enhances understanding and improves future action. Reflection allows insight into what supports or hinders consistency, informing adjustments that increase effectiveness. By combining reflection with consistent practice, discipline evolves from routine effort into intentional, strategic mastery. Awareness of patterns, outcomes, and personal tendencies deepens the ability to sustain progress under difficult circumstances. Repetition and habit formation embed discipline into daily life. Repeated action reduces reliance on fluctuating motivation and external prompts. Over time, disciplined behaviors become automatic, requiring less conscious effort to maintain. Automaticity preserves consistency even when energy, focus, or enthusiasm is low. Discipline becomes a built-in mechanism for action rather than a continuous struggle against inertia or distraction. Habitual repetition amplifies the power of sustained effort, ensuring long-term results. Discipline is strengthened through incremental challenge. Gradually increasing difficulty or complexity of tasks builds capacity, resilience, and confidence. Tackling progressively more demanding actions reinforces commitment and expands capability. Incremental challenge prevents stagnation, maintains engagement, and prepares for higher levels of achievement. Growth occurs not through avoidance of difficulty, but through measured, continuous engagement with increasingly demanding situations. By cultivating mental resilience, consistent routines, goal clarity, environmental design, self-awareness, emotional regulation, accountability, patience, reflection, and incremental challenge, discipline becomes a sustainable force that drives progress even in adversity. Each action reinforces commitment, strengthens self-control, and builds momentum. Challenges no longer derail progress, but serve as opportunities to practice persistence and resilience. Strengthened discipline transforms the capacity to act consistently, creating a foundation for continuous growth and long-term achievement, ensuring that progress is maintained regardless of circumstance, difficulty, or external influence. Chapter 6c. Design environments that naturally encourage productive and healthy habits. Your environment shapes behavior far more than most people realize. The spaces where you live, work, and spend time influence choices, habits, and energy levels without conscious thought. Every object, sound, sight, and routine cue sends signals to your brain that guide action. By intentionally designing environments to support productive and healthy habits, you remove friction from positive behaviors and increase the likelihood of consistent action. Change does not rely solely on willpower, it relies on structuring surroundings to naturally encourage the habits you want to cultivate. When your environment aligns with your goals, success becomes the default rather than the exception. Begin by examining your physical surroundings. Every cluttered surface, misplaced item, or distracting device competes for attention and energy. Organizing spaces to minimize distraction and highlight priority tasks simplifies action. Keep tools, materials, and resources for important tasks within easy reach, and remove items that prompt procrastination or unhealthy choices. A clean, organized environment reduces cognitive load, allowing focus to shift from managing chaos to executing meaningful action. Small adjustments in layout, accessibility, and visibility can dramatically increase efficiency and habit adherence. Visual cues are powerful drivers of behavior. Objects placed strategically can serve as reminders and prompts for productive actions. For example, placing a water bottle on your desk encourages consistent hydration, while positioning exercise equipment in a visible location prompts daily activity. Cues reinforce desired behavior passively, making it easier to maintain consistency without relying on motivation. Arranging environments so that constructive habits are salient strengthens the neural pathways associated with repeated action, embedding these behaviors naturally into daily life. Reduce exposure to negative triggers within your environment. Habits that derail progress often have environmental catalysts. Identify locations, items, or situations that prompt unhealthy routines and modify or remove them. If distractions such as social media notifications disrupt focus, disable them or create designated times for engagement. If junk food triggers overeating, store it out of sight or remove it entirely. By limiting the presence of cues that provoke unwanted behavior, you reduce reliance on willpower and make it easier to maintain discipline. Design environments for simplicity and accessibility. Complexity and friction undermine consistency. Actions that require effort, decision-making, or multiple steps are less likely to occur. Streamline the process for productive habits so that executing them is easy, intuitive, and immediate. For instance, having workout clothes ready, ingredients prepped for healthy meals, or a tidy workspace reduces barriers to action. The simpler the environment supports positive behavior, the more automatic and consistent those behaviors become over time. Time management benefits from environmental structuring. Allocate specific spaces for specific activities to signal mental readiness and focus. A designated workspace encourages concentration, a reading nook promotes learning, and a kitchen setup can streamline healthy meal preparation. Segregating spaces based on activity minimizes conflict between competing habits and provides cues to the brain about what action is appropriate in each context. Spatial organization strengthens habit formation by linking location to behavior. Technology can both support and hinder productive habits. Design digital environments with intention. Use apps, reminders, or timers to reinforce priorities and structure the day. Reduce notifications or social media distractions during periods of focused work. Curate online spaces to encourage learning, planning, and personal growth. Thoughtful digital organization transforms virtual surroundings into supportive tools rather than sources of disruption, ensuring that attention and effort are directed toward meaningful actions. Consider social environments as part of your design strategy. Relationships, groups, and social norms influence behavior profoundly. Surround yourself with individuals who support your objectives and model constructive habits. Minimize exposure to people or situations that encourage counterproductive routines. Social cues are powerful triggers. Designing supportive social surroundings reinforces desired habits while reducing temptation or negative influence. Positive social environments amplify motivation, accountability, and engagement, making consistency more achievable. Daily routines benefit from environmental scaffolding. Organize schedules, tools, and cues to guide action automatically. Establish rituals that support priority behaviors at predictable times. Morning routines might include physical activity, planning, or journaling, with materials prepared the night before. Evening routines can reinforce reflection, rest, or learning, with cues embedded in the environment. Structuring routines around environmental support creates a predictable framework that reinforces consistency, reducing the cognitive load of decision-making and promoting habit adherence. Sensory elements of the environment influence focus, energy, and mood. Lighting, color, sound, and even scent can impact behavior and productivity. Bright, natural light enhances alertness, while calming tones reduce stress. Background noise or music can either improve concentration or create distraction depending on the task. Adjusting sensory stimuli in alignment with desired actions strengthens habit execution, making it easier to engage fully and consistently in productive behaviors. Regularly review and adjust environmental design to sustain effectiveness. Habits evolve, goals change, and context shift. Periodic assessment ensures that your surroundings continue to support desired actions rather than becoming neutral or counterproductive. Adaptation prevents stagnation and allows continual optimization of spaces for maximum alignment with personal objectives. Iterative adjustment reinforces control over behavior and increases the likelihood of long-term success. Positive reinforcement can be built into environmental design. Arrange spaces to provide immediate feedback or small rewards for engaging in constructive habits. For example, a visible progress tracker, a habit checklist, or a dedicated display of accomplishments reinforces action. These cues provide psychological satisfaction, strengthen habit loops, and create a motivating environment that celebrates consistency and effort. Reinforcement through environmental design reduces reliance on fleeting motivation and encourages sustained practice. Consider the interplay between multiple environments. Home, work, social spaces, and digital contexts all interact to influence behavior. Consistency across settings strengthens habits, while conflicting environments increase friction and risk of relapse into counterproductive routines. Identify key environments where behavior most frequently occurs and apply design principles consistently. Cohesion across spaces amplifies the impact of environmental cues and supports durable, productive habits. Flexibility in environmental design is essential. Life changes, circumstances evolve, and new challenges arise. Build adaptability into your surroundings so that habits can be maintained even under shifting conditions. Portable tools, adaptable layouts, and mobile routines allow continuity despite travel, relocation, or changing schedules. Environmental flexibility ensures that positive habits are resilient and sustainable regardless of external circumstances. Self-reflection complements environmental design. Observe how surroundings impact behavior and adjust accordingly. Identify which cues support action, which create friction, and which provoke undesired habits. Iterative assessment allows continuous improvement and fine-tuning of spaces to reinforce productive behavior. Awareness combined with deliberate design creates an environment that actively encourages growth, productivity, and health. Environmental design is most powerful when it integrates seamlessly with identity and goals. Surroundings should reflect personal priorities, reinforce values, and signal the behaviors you wish to embody. Spaces aligned with identity provide subtle but constant reinforcement for constructive habits, increasing consistency and strengthening self-concept. This alignment ensures that environment and personal development work together harmoniously to sustain progress. Intentional environmental design transforms effort into automatic action. When spaces are arranged to facilitate focus, reduce distraction, and cue priority behaviors, productivity and health are reinforced passively. Habits become embedded in daily life, requiring less conscious effort and relying less on motivation alone. The mind naturally responds to supportive surroundings, making constructive behaviors the path of least resistance. The environment becomes an ally in personal growth rather than a passive backdrop. The long-term impact of intentional environmental design is profound. Over time, spaces that consistently reinforce productive and healthy habits compound into sustained transformation. Daily actions become automatic, mental energy is preserved for higher-level thinking, and resistance to distraction is minimized. Habits are strengthened not only by repetition, but also by alignment with surroundings, ensuring that constructive behaviors persist with minimal friction. The environment itself becomes a catalyst for growth, supporting discipline, focus, and well-being naturally and continuously. By observing, adjusting, and structuring physical, social, digital, and sensory environments, individuals create conditions where productive and healthy habits thrive effortlessly. Environmental cues, routines, visual triggers, social influence, and sensory inputs converge to support consistent action. Thoughtful design reduces reliance on willpower, enhances focus, and sustains positive behaviors even under stress or changing circumstances. The deliberate shaping of surroundings transforms potential obstacles into opportunities, making habit formation easier, progress more consistent, and personal growth enduring. The environment becomes a silent partner in achieving goals, embedding positive routines into the rhythm of daily life and ensuring that success is not left to chance but cultivated through intentional, consistent design. Chapter 70. Track daily behaviors to measure progress and stay accountable. Tracking daily behaviors is one of the most powerful tools for creating progress, sustaining habits, and holding yourself accountable. Many people underestimate the impact of simply observing and recording what they do each day. Without clear awareness, actions can drift aimlessly, effort can be wasted, and momentum toward goals can falter. By monitoring behaviors intentionally, you create a mirror that reflects both strengths and weaknesses, offering clarity about where energy is invested and what patterns are emerging. Measurement transforms vague intentions into tangible data, making personal growth visible, actionable, and reliable. Begin by identifying the behaviors that most directly influence your goals. These should be specific, actionable, and measurable. Focus on actions that create meaningful impact rather than attempting to track everything simultaneously. For example, if the goal is improving physical health, track steps, exercise duration, or meals rather than peripheral activities. Narrow focus ensures attention is dedicated to the behaviors that matter most and prevents overwhelm that undermines consistency. Precision in selection makes tracking effective and actionable. Consistency is critical in tracking. Daily observation reinforces awareness and prevents habits from slipping unnoticed. Record behaviors at the same time each day to create a stable routine and ensure completeness. Using simple tools such as a journal, checklist, spreadsheet, or habit tracking application allows for efficient documentation. The act of writing or marking completion reinforces commitment and creates a tangible sense of accountability, making it less likely that tasks are forgotten or neglected. Quantifying progress enhances clarity and insight. Numbers, frequency counts, or measurable outcomes provide concrete evidence of effort and performance. For instance, recording calories consumed, minutes spent studying, or tasks completed provides an objective view of activity levels. Quantification reveals patterns that might otherwise be invisible, allowing identification of trends, strengths, and areas that need adjustment. When data is visible, Decision-making is informed rather than reactive, and corrective action can be implemented efficiently. Behavior tracking reveals patterns over time. Observing trends helps distinguish between short-term fluctuations and long-term habits. Repetition, streaks, or lapses can be clearly seen, showing how behaviors accumulate into progress or regressions. Recognizing patterns enables strategic interventions, such as reinforcing positive cycles or addressing behaviors that impede objectives. Understanding these trends increases self-awareness and guides deliberate adjustments to maintain growth momentum. Feedback loops created by tracking are powerful motivators. Each day of completion or incremental improvement provides reinforcement and satisfaction. Seeing a visual streak, chart, or record of success strengthens motivation and encourages continuation. Positive reinforcement is compounded when progress is celebrated regularly, creating psychological momentum that fuels persistence even when external rewards are absent. Tracking converts effort into visible accomplishment, reinforcing discipline and consistency. Accountability is enhanced when behaviors are tracked. Recording progress creates a structure that can be shared with mentors, peers, or communities. External visibility encourages honesty and reinforces commitment. Even without sharing, the knowledge that behaviors are being monitored generates a sense of responsibility that reduces the likelihood of procrastination or deviation. Accountability provides a psychological safety net that strengthens adherence and supports sustained growth. Tracking also clarifies priorities and resource allocation. Reviewing recorded behaviors highlights where energy is invested and whether it aligns with goals. Misalignment between effort and desired outcomes becomes apparent, prompting adjustments in focus or strategy. Monitoring daily actions ensures that time, energy, and attention are directed toward behaviors that yield the greatest impact, reducing wasted effort and increasing efficiency in pursuit of objectives. Detailed tracking supports reflection and learning. Daily records allow for evaluation of what strategies are working and which are not. Reflection deepens insight into triggers, obstacles, and successful techniques. Patterns of behavior and reaction to challenges can be analyzed systematically, informing improvements and reinforcing self-mastery. The combination of observation, measurement, and reflection creates a feedback loop that drives continuous improvement. Technology can be leveraged to enhance tracking. Digital tools, apps, and wearables provide real-time feedback and analytics, simplifying data collection and interpretation. Automated reminders, notifications, and progress dashboards reduce cognitive load and support consistency. Technology allows visualization of data, making trends and progress easier to comprehend and reinforcing commitment. Integrating tools into daily routines streamlines tracking, making it sustainable and efficient. Behavior tracking strengthens resilience against lapses. Recording deviations or missed actions provides insight without judgment, allowing corrective strategies rather than discouragement. Observing lapses objectively highlights causes and patterns, which supports learning and adjustment. Tracking ensures that occasional failures do not undermine long-term progress and encourages persistence by maintaining awareness of overall trends rather than isolated setbacks. Visual representation of progress is highly effective. Charts, graphs, or streak displays provide immediate clarity about achievements and momentum. Visualization transforms abstract effort into concrete evidence, increasing motivation and reinforcing accountability. Seeing tangible proof of consistency or improvement strengthens resolve and enhances engagement with the process. The brain responds positively to clear visual feedback, making tracking more impactful than memory alone. Tracking encourages incremental improvement. By monitoring behavior, small adjustments can be identified and implemented continuously. Minor refinements accumulate over time, producing substantial transformation. Each day offers an opportunity to improve strategies, optimize routines, and reinforce desired habits. Measurement allows for data-driven decision, making that continuously enhances effectiveness and results. Integration of tracking into daily routines ensures it becomes habitual rather than an occasional exercise. Linking observation to specific moments, such as morning planning or evening reflection, creates consistency. Embedding tracking in the rhythm of life reduces resistance and makes monitoring automatic. Habitual recording ensures that insight and accountability are continuous, not sporadic, sustaining long-term growth and reinforcing commitment. Tracking also supports identification of keystone behaviors. By observing correlations between different actions and outcomes, high-impact habits can be recognized. Keystone behaviors have disproportionate influence on broader areas of life, and tracking illuminates which actions drive the most significant results. Prioritizing these behaviors amplifies effort, ensuring that time and energy produce maximal effect on personal development goals. Behavior monitoring strengthens self-awareness. Observing what you do, when and why illuminates unconscious patterns. Awareness of routines, triggers and responses enhances control and decision-making. Knowledge gained from tracking informs strategies to optimize performance, adjust behaviors, and maintain alignment with goals. Self-awareness and measurement work together, creating a foundation for deliberate, intentional action. Long-term tracking allows assessment of growth over months and years. Patterns that might seem insignificant in the short term become clear when data is aggregated. Trends, progress, and cumulative effort reveal the impact of daily habits and consistency. Reviewing long-term records strengthens motivation, reinforces discipline, and highlights the value of persistence over time. Growth becomes visible and tangible, demonstrating the power of daily action compounded consistently. Flexibility in tracking is important. Adjust measurement focus as priorities evolve and goals shift. Continuous improvement requires that tracking methods adapt to new objectives, challenges, and contexts. Tracking should serve insight and action rather than become rigid or burdensome. Adaptable measurement ensures that the process remains meaningful, practical, and aligned with evolving personal growth. Daily behavior tracking transforms vague aspirations into concrete achievement. Observation, documentation, and reflection convert effort into actionable insight, guiding decision-making and strategy. Measurement reinforces discipline, sustains motivation, and creates a clear path toward goals. By capturing patterns, highlighting progress, and identifying opportunities for improvement, tracking ensures that growth is deliberate, visible, and accountable. The consistent practice of monitoring behaviors creates an empowered approach to personal development that amplifies results and cultivates mastery over time. Tracking daily behaviors is not about perfection, it is about informed action, self-awareness, and continuous improvement. Even minor insights gained through careful observation compound into major shifts in productivity, health, and personal growth. By committing to a structured, measurable approach, progress becomes visible, habits strengthen, and accountability is sustained. The act of measurement transforms intention into action, effort into accomplishment, and consistency into long-term achievement. Chapter 80: Focus energy on keystone habits that transform multiple life areas. Keystone habits are the small but powerful behaviors that have a ripple effect across multiple areas of life. Unlike ordinary routines, these habits influence other actions, creating patterns that shape overall behavior, productivity, and well-being. Identifying and prioritizing keystone habits allows focused energy to generate disproportionately large results. When these core behaviors are strengthened, they naturally encourage additional positive habits, streamline decision-making, and increase consistency across personal and professional domains. Concentrating on keystone habits transforms effort from scattered attempts into high-impact actions that drive meaningful change efficiently. The first step in leveraging keystone habits is identification. Observe which behaviors consistently lead to positive outcomes in multiple areas of life. For instance, regular physical exercise can improve energy levels, mental clarity, emotional stability, and productivity. Journaling or reflection may enhance self-awareness, emotional regulation, and goal achievement. Healthy sleep routines can boost cognitive function, mood, and decision-making. Keystone habits are recognizable because their effects extend beyond the immediate behavior, triggering a chain reaction of constructive changes in lifestyle. Once keystone habits are identified, prioritize them above less impactful routines. Energy is limited, and spreading effort too thin reduces effectiveness. Allocate focus, time, and attention to habits that generate the greatest influence. Developing keystone behaviors first creates momentum and simplifies the adoption of secondary habits. When these high-leverage behaviors become consistent, they naturally support other desired routines, making the process of personal transformation more efficient and sustainable. Consistency is essential for keystone habits to produce meaningful results. Regular practice strengthens neural pathways, reinforces behavior, and triggers positive spillover effects. The repetition of these core habits encourages automaticity, reducing the need for constant conscious effort or motivation. By embedding keystone habits into daily life, their influence extends to surrounding routines, relationships, and decision-making processes. Over time, the cumulative effect is transformative, reshaping multiple aspects of behavior simultaneously. Behavior tracking complements the development of keystone habits. Monitoring performance, observing trends, and reflecting on outcomes reinforce commitment and highlight areas for refinement. Tracking provides tangible evidence of progress, strengthens accountability, and clarifies which habits yield the most significant impact. Regular documentation supports adjustments and ensures that energy remains focused on the behaviors with the greatest transformative potential. Data-driven insight increases efficiency and enhances the likelihood of long-term success. Keystone habits often influence motivation and self-discipline indirectly. When a core habit is performed consistently, it generates psychological momentum that carries over to other tasks. Completion of a keystone action instills a sense of accomplishment and confidence, which fuels engagement in additional constructive behaviors. For example, beginning the day with exercise can lead to healthier eating, improved focus at work, and better emotional regulation. The positive feedback loop created by keystone habits amplifies effort and strengthens overall resilience. Environmental support reinforces keystone habits. Design surroundings to facilitate these behaviors, making them easy to execute and difficult to avoid. Visual cues, accessibility of tools, and elimination of obstacles ensure that keystone routines occur reliably. The environment acts as a silent partner, reducing reliance on willpower and embedding habits into daily life. Supporting surroundings maximize consistency, enabling keystone behaviors to trigger the broad ripple effect they are capable of generating. Social reinforcement can accelerate the adoption of keystone habits. Surrounding yourself with people who model, encourage, or participate in these habits creates accountability, inspiration, and a sense of shared purpose. Social influence enhances commitment and reduces resistance by normalizing the behavior. Communities, mentors, or partners who align with the desired routines magnify the impact of keystone habits, ensuring that effort is reinforced and sustained over time. Flexibility in applying keystone habits is necessary to maintain consistency across different contexts. Life circumstances change, and external conditions may temporarily interfere with routines. Adapting habits without compromising their core function ensures that the benefits continue to accrue. Portable routines, alternative strategies, and minor modifications preserve momentum and maintain the ripple effect. Flexibility protects the transformative potential of keystone habits even when external conditions are less than ideal. Reflection and analysis deepen the effectiveness of keystone habits. Periodically evaluating which behaviors are producing the greatest influence allows refinement, optimization, and prioritization of effort. Not all habits labeled as important yield significant results, and observation ensures focus remains on high-impact actions. Insight from reflection strengthens understanding, reinforces purpose, and increases the efficiency of energy allocation. Consistent review ensures that the most potent habits are cultivated and maintained. Visualization and mental rehearsal strengthen commitment to keystone habits. Imagining the execution of core routines and the resulting positive outcomes prepares the mind for action and enhances consistency. Visualization reduces mental resistance and increases confidence in maintaining practice even under challenging circumstances. Mental preparation reinforces the link between behavior and result, embedding the habit in both cognition and routine action. Keystone habits often serve as anchors for other habits. They create structure and rhythm in daily life, simplifying the adoption of complementary behaviors. For example, a morning meditation practice can lead to improved focus, healthier decision-making, and increased emotional awareness throughout the day. The core habit organizes energy, attention, and intention, allowing other behaviors to align more naturally. Anchoring secondary routines to keystone habits multiplies effectiveness and reduces the effort required to maintain multiple positive changes. Incremental improvement ensures the sustainability of keystone habits. Start small, establish consistency, and gradually increase intensity, duration, or complexity. Small, manageable steps prevent burnout and build confidence while maintaining forward momentum. The principle of incremental growth ensures that habits remain achievable and resilient over time, reinforcing their transformative influence without overwhelming effort or resistance. Keystone habits influence identity and self-perception. Performing high-impact behaviors consistently reinforces a sense of capability, responsibility, and alignment with personal goals. When actions align with desired identity, they strengthen self-concept and motivate continuation. The perception of being a disciplined, proactive, or health-conscious individual is reinforced through habitual practice, making sustained behavior more likely and facilitating the adoption of additional constructive routines. Accountability enhances the power of keystone habits. Sharing progress, challenges, and results with a mentor, peer, or community reinforces commitment and provides external validation. External accountability complements internal discipline, ensuring that core habits remain consistent and that the ripple effect continues across life domains. Supportive feedback and shared responsibility amplify the influence of keystone behaviors and accelerate personal growth. Measurement and tracking are critical for understanding the impact of keystone habits. Documenting frequency, duration, and outcomes provides insight into effectiveness and highlights areas for improvement. Quantitative and qualitative observation ensures that energy remains focused on actions that generate broad results. Data-driven insight enables precise adjustments, reinforces accountability, and strengthens the feedback loop that maintains consistent high-impact behavior. Patience is essential when cultivating keystone habits. The ripple effect may not be immediately visible, and results often accumulate gradually. Consistent practice over weeks and months compounds into significant changes across multiple areas of life. Trusting the process and maintaining discipline ensures that habits reach their full transformative potential. Long-term focus strengthens the foundation for sustained growth and reinforces the importance of persistence over instant gratification. Keystone habits create leverage in personal development. Energy spent on these behaviors yields more value than dispersed effort across less influential routines. By concentrating focus on high-impact actions, progress is accelerated and results amplified. Efficiency increases because effort is strategically directed where it produces the largest effect. Recognizing leverage points in behavior ensures that energy is used wisely and change occurs with maximum return. The long-term effect of keystone habits is compounded transformation. As core behaviors become established, they influence routines, decision-making, social interactions, emotional regulation, and productivity. The consistent execution of keystone habits triggers a cascade of positive outcomes that reinforce themselves, creating a self-sustaining system of growth. The focus on high-leverage behaviors simplifies effort, increases consistency, and magnifies results across every dimension of life. Focusing energy on keystone habits transforms the way progress occurs. Instead of scattered, inconsistent effort, growth becomes strategic, efficient, and predictable. Core behaviors create momentum, trigger secondary positive habits, and produce wide-ranging impact. Attention, discipline, and consistency applied to keystone habits enable sustainable change, empower self-mastery, and accelerate achievement of meaningful goals. By identifying, cultivating, and maintaining these high-impact routines, personal transformation becomes intentional, structured, and enduring, allowing life to shift in multiple domains simultaneously through focused, consistent action. Chapter 90. Engage your community to support growth and positive change. Humans are social beings, and the company we keep profoundly shapes behavior, motivation, and growth. Individual effort is important, but isolation can limit perspective, reduce accountability, and slow progress. Engaging with a community that shares your values and supports your goals multiplies effectiveness and accelerates personal transformation. Interaction with others provides feedback, encouragement, and inspiration that individual effort alone cannot replicate. Positive communities reinforce desired habits, offer guidance during challenges, and create an environment where growth becomes both expected and attainable. The energy and influence of a supportive network amplify action, making consistency and resilience far more sustainable. The first step in leveraging community for growth is to identify environments that encourage constructive behavior. Surround yourself with people who model the habits, mindset, and outcomes you aspire to achieve. Positive influence is contagious, and exposure to examples of success reinforces the belief that similar progress is possible. Communities can exist in physical spaces, online groups, mentorship circles, or professional networks. The key is to engage with individuals whose energy, focus, and behavior align with your objectives, ensuring that interaction promotes rather than detracts from progress. Active participation strengthens the impact of community engagement. Simply being present is not enough. Contribution, collaboration, and involvement create deeper connections and more meaningful influence. Sharing knowledge, experiences, and challenges fosters mutual accountability and builds trust within the group. Engagement also enhances learning, providing diverse perspectives and strategies that accelerate growth. The more active and intentional your participation, the more support and reinforcement you receive, and the stronger the influence on your personal development. Accountability is one of the most powerful benefits of community. Being part of a group that tracks progress, sets goals, and checks in regularly encourages consistent effort. Public commitment increases motivation because deviation is observed by others. Accountability partners or mentor relationships ensure that intentions are followed by action. Structured oversight combined with social support reinforces discipline, reduces procrastination, and sustains momentum during periods when individual motivation may waver. Feedback from the community provides insight that is difficult to obtain alone. Others can identify blind spots, highlight areas for improvement, and offer constructive criticism. Objective feedback allows for refinement of strategy, optimization of habits, and more precise execution of goals. Receiving input from diverse experiences enriches understanding and informs decision-making. When feedback is integrated into daily practice, growth becomes more deliberate and focused, reducing the likelihood of repeated mistakes or ineffective actions. Communities can foster motivation through shared energy and enthusiasm. Group challenges, collaborative projects, or collective learning activities create momentum that inspires individuals to act consistently. Observing peers' achievements triggers a psychological response that reinforces belief in one's own potential. The encouragement derived from collective participation strengthens persistence and resilience. Motivation becomes distributed across the group, making sustained effort easier and more natural than relying on personal drive alone. Shared resources within a community amplify growth. Knowledge, tools, techniques, and strategies are exchanged, enabling faster progress than solitary exploration. Learning from others' experiences reduces trial and error inefficiency and provides access to insights that might otherwise take years to acquire independently. Resource sharing supports skill development, habit formation, and problem solving, ensuring that members benefit from collective wisdom and experience. Engaging actively ensures access to the most valuable guidance and accelerates the learning curve. Emotional support within a community sustains resilience during challenges. Personal growth is often accompanied by setbacks, self-doubt, or stress, and support networks provide encouragement and perspective during these periods. Knowing that others have faced similar difficulties and succeeded reinforces confidence and reduces isolation. Shared empathy and guidance help individuals recover quickly from setbacks, maintain motivation, and continue forward without losing momentum. Emotional reinforcement strengthens the capacity to persist in the face of difficulty. Mentorship within a community can guide development effectively. Learning from experienced individuals who have achieved desired outcomes accelerates skill acquisition and behavioral mastery. Mentors offer strategic advice, model habits, and provide insights that help avoid common pitfalls. A mentor's guidance creates clarity and direction, allowing focused energy on the actions most likely to yield significant results. Structured mentoring relationships enhance both accountability and personal growth. Communities provide opportunities for collaboration and synergy. Working with others toward shared objectives fosters problem-solving, creativity, and strategic thinking. Collective effort leverages diverse strengths, making progress faster and more sustainable than solitary work. Collaboration reinforces individual responsibility because each member's contribution affects group outcomes. Engaging in collaborative initiatives strengthens connection, accountability, and competence simultaneously, creating an environment of mutual growth. Tracking collective progress enhances motivation and reinforces accountability. Observing group milestones, streaks, or achievements reinforces the link between effort and tangible outcomes. Public acknowledgement within a community motivates individuals to sustain action, creating a positive feedback loop. Celebrating shared successes strengthens cohesion and reinforces commitment to continued growth. Measurement and recognition within a group setting enhance engagement and create momentum that individual effort alone may not generate. Consistency in community engagement is crucial. Regular interaction ensures ongoing support, continuous feedback, and steady reinforcement of habits. Infrequent participation reduces influence, weakens accountability, and diminishes learning opportunities. Establishing predictable patterns of communication, check-ins, or collaborative sessions strengthens the social framework supporting growth. Consistent presence fosters trust, reinforces shared values, and embeds accountability into daily life. Diverse communities expand perspective and adaptability. Exposure to different ideas, approaches, and strategies encourages flexible thinking, problem-solving, and innovative habit formation. Learning from individuals with varied experiences enhances understanding of alternative methods and reinforces adaptability. Broad exposure reduces rigidity, supports resilience, and equips members with a versatile toolkit for growth across different circumstances. Diversity within engagement multiplies opportunities for learning and development. Positive social norms within a community reinforce constructive behavior. Observing expectations, routines, and values modeled by the group influences individual actions. Peer modeling creates subtle yet powerful pressure to adhere to productive habits and ethical standards. Norms establish a framework of behavior that members naturally internalize, reducing cognitive effort required for self-regulation. Alignment with supportive social norms accelerates habit adoption and strengthens sustainable personal growth. Communities can also provide accountability through shared challenges or commitments. Group-based goals create motivation to perform consistently and responsibly. Public progress reporting and collective deadlines reinforce commitment to individual and shared objectives. Structured challenge frameworks encourage persistence, enhance discipline, and foster healthy competition. Social reinforcement amplifies the likelihood that habits will be executed and maintained over time. Engaging in reciprocal support strengthens growth for both the individual and the group. Providing guidance, encouragement, and resources to others reinforces one's own learning and commitment. Contribution solidifies understanding, models desired behavior, and strengthens social bonds. Reciprocity enhances cohesion, builds trust, and multiplies the positive impact of community engagement. Helping others grow becomes a reinforcing mechanism for personal development. Communication within the community enhances clarity and understanding. Sharing goals, strategies, and reflections ensures alignment and strengthens collaboration. Open dialogue encourages problem-solving, feedback exchange, and mutual learning. Effective communication reinforces accountability, promotes consistency, and creates a sense of collective responsibility. Engagement is deepened through active and transparent interaction, maximizing the benefit of social connection. Long-term participation in supportive communities ensures sustained growth. Consistent involvement, feedback, and accountability compound over time, producing enduring transformation. Relationships, trust, and collaborative habits become embedded into daily life, reinforcing behavior even during challenging periods. Engagement with others ensures that momentum is maintained, habits are strengthened, and personal development is consistently supported. By deliberately engaging with a community aligned with your goals and values, individuals create an environment of accountability, motivation, support, and learning. Interaction with others reinforces discipline, sustains habits, and provides insight that accelerates growth. Communities amplify the effect of personal effort, strengthen resilience, and transform individual intention into collective momentum. Positive social engagement ensures that progress is supported, growth is continuous, and the path to meaningful achievement is both guided and reinforced through shared experience and mutual support. Chapter 1. Commit fully to lifelong improvement and continuous personal development. Committing fully to lifelong improvement transforms the way life is approached. Shifting focus from short-term fixes to continuous evolution, personal development is not a destination but a deliberate, ongoing process that requires consistent effort, reflection, and adaptability. Growth is cultivated through daily actions, deliberate learning, and persistent refinement of habits, skills, and mindset. True transformation emerges when improvement becomes a core value rather than a temporary goal, and when the individual chooses to invest energy, attention, and time into evolving continuously. Commitment to lifelong learning and self-improvement ensures that progress is resilient, meaningful, and expansive across every aspect of life. The first step in embracing lifelong improvement is establishing clarity of purpose. Understanding why growth matters, what goals are being pursued, and how they align with personal values creates motivation that is intrinsic and enduring. Purpose directs energy intentionally, guiding decisions, shaping priorities, and informing daily habits. Without clear intent, effort can become scattered, inconsistent, or superficial. A well-defined purpose acts as a compass, ensuring that each action contributes meaningfully to overall development and long-term achievement. Consistency is central to continuous personal development. Improvement is cumulative, and daily practice compounds into profound change over time. Small, deliberate actions executed consistently yield greater impact than sporadic, intense effort. Daily learning, reflection, and habit execution reinforce neural pathways, strengthen discipline, and embed skills into routine behavior. The rhythm of consistent action turns progress into an automatic and enduring process rather than a series of occasional bursts. Self-awareness is essential for sustainable growth. Recognizing strengths, weaknesses, and patterns of behavior enables targeted improvement. Honest observation identifies areas that require attention and prevents stagnation or repetition of ineffective strategies. Awareness fosters adaptability, allowing adjustment of approach, refinement of techniques, and alignment with evolving circumstances. Lifelong development depends on the ability to perceive, evaluate, and adjust behavior intelligently and objectively. Continuous improvement requires embracing challenges and discomfort as opportunities for growth. Avoiding difficulty limits potential and slows development, while confronting obstacles cultivates resilience, problem-solving, and mastery. Facing challenges deliberately expands capacity, strengthens character, and builds confidence. Struggle is not an impediment but a catalyst, and the commitment to confront it consistently accelerates transformation and reinforces the principles of discipline and persistence. Learning must be intentional and active. Knowledge alone is insufficient without application. Practical experimentation, reflection, and integration of insights into daily life ensure that learning translates into measurable progress. Reading, studying, observing, and engaging with mentors or communities create a reservoir of ideas, strategies, and perspective. Applying knowledge intentionally transforms information into capability, fostering skill development and personal growth that is both actionable and impactful. Reflection reinforces understanding and improvement. Regular assessment of actions, choices, and outcomes provides clarity about what works, what requires adjustment, and where new focus is needed. Reflection strengthens insight, deepens awareness, and guides decision-making. Reviewing progress and setbacks systematically converts experience into wisdom, ensuring that each day contributes to a trajectory of continuous advancement. Without reflection, effort may be repeated without refinement, limiting growth potential. Discipline underpins lifelong commitment. Motivation fluctuates, and challenges will test resolve, but discipline ensures consistent action regardless of emotional state. Creating structured routines, adhering to daily priorities, and enforcing personal standards solidifies growth, self-regulation, perseverance, and reliability in maintaining practices establish a foundation for enduring development. Discipline bridges the gap between intention and execution, transforming aspirations into consistent, tangible progress. Adaptability is crucial for continuous personal development. Life circumstances, external conditions, and internal needs evolve over time. Remaining rigid in approach risks stagnation, while flexibility allows habits, strategies, and goals to remain relevant and effective. Adapting to change ensures continuity of growth, preserves momentum, and enables opportunities that may not have existed in previous circumstances. The ability to adjust intelligently while maintaining commitment ensures resilience and long-term success. Goals must be dynamic and scalable. Lifelong improvement thrives on progressive challenge rather than static targets. Setting and revising objectives ensures that personal development remains ambitious, purposeful, and aligned with evolving capabilities. Milestones provide motivation and feedback, while flexible goals allow for adaptation without losing focus. A dynamic goal structure sustains engagement, reinforces achievement, and maintains momentum across the spectrum of personal growth. Accountability strengthens commitment. Sharing intentions, progress, and outcomes with mentors, peers, or supportive communities reinforces consistency and fosters honesty. Accountability provides both encouragement and oversight, ensuring that effort is maintained even when intrinsic motivation wanes. External reinforcement complements internal discipline, creating a dual system that sustains continuous action and reinforces the mindset required for lifelong development. Integration of multiple growth domains magnifies impact. Physical health, mental clarity, emotional regulation, social connection, and professional capability are interdependent. Development in one area often enhances performance in others, creating synergistic progress. A holistic approach ensures that improvement is balanced, sustainable, and deeply transformative. Focusing on multiple dimensions simultaneously leverages energy efficiently, amplifies results, and cultivates resilience, adaptability, and mastery across life. Embracing incremental progress prevents overwhelm and fosters sustainability. Lifelong development is not achieved in dramatic leaps, but through consistent, manageable steps. Small improvements accumulate, reinforcing habit formation, confidence, and competence. Incremental growth maintains engagement, reduces resistance, and builds momentum, demonstrating that lasting transformation emerges through persistent, deliberate effort rather than sporadic bursts of intensity. Resilience is strengthened through continuous commitment. Life presents inevitable setbacks, challenges, and uncertainty. A mindset oriented toward lifelong improvement encourages perseverance, problem-solving, and constructive response to adversity. Viewing obstacles as opportunities rather than interruptions fosters growth under all circumstances. Resilience ensures that setbacks are temporary deviations rather than permanent barriers, maintaining consistency and momentum in personal development. Continuous learning expands perspective and capability. Exposure to diverse ideas, cultures, practices, and experiences enriches understanding and enhances creativity, decision-making, and problem-solving. Lifelong improvement thrives on curiosity, open-mindedness, and active engagement with knowledge sources. Expanding mental, emotional, and experiential capacity enables adaptation, innovation, and the ability to approach challenges strategically. A commitment to learning ensures that personal development remains vibrant, relevant, and accelerating over time. Emotional intelligence reinforces sustained growth. Awareness of emotions, regulation of responses, and empathy toward oneself and others enhance decision-making, relationships, and resilience. Development of emotional capacity strengthens the ability to navigate complex situations, maintain focus under stress, and communicate effectively. Emotional mastery supports consistent action, promotes constructive behavior, and ensures that personal development is both internally harmonious and externally effective. Self-reflection and mindfulness sustain alignment. Regular evaluation of actions, choices, and beliefs ensures that progress is purposeful and consistent with values. Mindfulness cultivates presence, focus, and clarity, reducing distraction and enhancing effectiveness. Awareness of internal states, motivations, and priorities guides deliberate action and prevents deviation from the path of continuous improvement. Reflection and mindfulness reinforce intentionality in all aspects of growth. A commitment to lifelong improvement fosters a mindset of mastery. Viewing life as an evolving process rather than a fixed state encourages exploration, experimentation, and deliberate refinement of habits, skills, and mindset. Mastery is achieved through patience, persistence, and consistent application of learning, reflection, and practice. The pursuit of excellence becomes a daily discipline, and incremental progress compounds into significant transformation across multiple dimensions of life. The journey of continuous personal development is ongoing and self-reinforcing. Each action, reflection, and adjustment contributes to a trajectory of improvement that extends indefinitely. Growth becomes an integral part of identity, shaping decisions, habits, and interactions in a coherent, intentional pattern. By committing fully to lifelong learning, self-discipline, and deliberate action, individuals cultivate resilience, capability, and influence that persist over decades, ensuring that potential is realized and life is continually enriched. Committing fully to lifelong improvement requires intentionality, discipline, and persistence. It demands prioritization of learning, reflection, habit formation, and skill development. Energy is focused on high-impact behaviors. Progress is measured and adjusted continuously, and growth is reinforced through accountability and community. The process transforms life from passive experience to active creation, where each day contributes to an evolving trajectory of competence, mastery, and fulfillment. Continuous personal development is not optional. It is a fundamental framework for living intentionally, achieving meaningful goals, and cultivating resilience, purpose, and excellence in every aspect of life.